Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. It seems that J.K. Rowling is back in the news again. Why? For stating the actual truth. But the mainstream media doesn't like the fact that J.K. Rowling happens to have an opinion, and that opinion differs against the mainstream narrative, that being kids that claim to be something they're actually not don't really exist, right? You can't be something that you say that you're not, especially when it comes to transgenderism, right? The whole adage that trans kids exist and all that sort of other stuff, it's amazing to me because there is no such thing as a trans child. A child cannot consent to puberty blockers or even these other hormones they give them. They can't consent to irreversible damage. They don't have the brain capacity to be able to understand what that's going to do to their bodies. We're seeing a lot more detransitioners coming out at the moment saying that they regret their decision, even though, yes, it was their decision, but they could not consent to it, knowing what it would do to them long term. So J.K. Rowling is back in the news yet again because the mainstream media loves to attack her, as well as lots of trans activists, right? So J.K. Rowling denies the existence of trans kids, warns medical interventions will one day be viewed as worse than lobotomies. And she's right in all of that. I don't see how she's wrong at all. But the New York Post's their clever, I guess, maneuvering of language makes her out to be like a bad, horrible person, because the woke mob will go, oh no, J.K. Rowling has said there's no such thing as trans kids that denied our existence. Here we go again. She is a hateful bigot. You know, they'll do all that sort of stuff, but really, she's speaking the truth. According to science, reason, and rationale, there is no such thing as a trans child. There are only parents that want to trans their kids, parents that are delusional, parents that think that their child is actually something they're not. Now, if a child is confused, you have to question, why are they confused? What is going on psychologically? Oh, we're going to take them to a psychologist, and that psychologist is one of those gender affirming psychologists. And then all of a sudden, the child says to the psychologist, I know exactly who I am. Yeah, sure you do, Timmy. You know exactly who you are because you're 5 years old and you're telling me because you're the adult, Timmy. I'm not the psychologist with a brain, hopefully, on your head. But you know what we're going to do for you, Timmy? Because you've told me the actual truth, even though it's not the truth, because you've told me that, we're going to go through with it. You know, we're going to go ahead with you identifying using pronouns. There's a soft transition, and then later on, we go into the full transition. Now, if you want to change a person or a young kid's mindset on things, you slowly start, it's like a small drip, right? You slowly start introducing little things that teaches that young kid that what they're currently doing is normal. You change their environment, you change their world, right? And the more they get older, hopefully they start to realize that, hey, this is nonsense and it's nuts. But most of the time, lots of young kids, because that's what they were brought up with, they start to believe in the insanity. They start to believe in the actual lie. So J.K. Rowling is once again accurate. There is no such thing as a trans child. No child can be, in fact, something they're actually not. No child is born in the wrong body. That's not possible. Not humanly possible at all. And biologically and scientifically possible, right? Even when it comes to intersex people, even then, they are still either male or female. There is no in between. Now, Harry Potter creator J.K. Rowling has again waded into the debate over gender questioning youth, insisting trans kids do not exist and that the medical interventions will one day be seen as worse than the lobotomies. Yes, we're going to look back at this one day and go, wow, what the hell were we thinking? What were we doing? And all of us that were actually warning against all this madness, we're going to be seen as, I guess, just regular, normal people once again for doing the right thing. We're at the moment, we're seen as insane people by the trans mob. Her latest spat, my goodness me, New York Post, you got something wrong with you. The trans community was sparked by a critic on the social media platform who labeled the billionaire as having a hateful focus on the issue and encouraged to use her immense power for good instead. She is, but you don't see it like that. The 59-year-old scribe, who has long been outspoken on the subject, didn't hold back in her response, writing bluntly on X on Saturday, "There are no trans kids. No child is born in the wrong body." She then hit out at adults, including parents, teachers, and even surgeons, for perpetrating what she described as harmful notions about the mutability of gender. There are only adults like you prepared to sacrifice the health of minors to bolster your belief in an ideology that will end up wreaking more harm than lobotomies and false memory syndrome combined, she wrote. Man, I love J.K. Rowling. She just, plain and simple, says it how it is. Schools affirm kids trans-identified behind parents' backs, she said, adding to her roll call of grown-ups she views as culpable while also condemning TikTok, where the author says children watch videos of surgeons selling the idea that bodies can be modified like Lego. She went on to highlight the struggles faced by many parents who want to protect kids from a zeitgeist telling them that anxieties about puberty, sexuality, and growing up can be fixed by lifelong reliance on Big Pharma and by doctors who make Frankenstein look ethical. Man, again, she's spot on. Absolutely spot on. Rowling's views on transgenderism orbit around the notion that the movement represents a persuasive campaign of encroachment of biological men into women-only spaces such as sports and public bathrooms. That's not the only view that she's got, right? Yes, she doesn't want men that identify as being women in female-only spaces. That should be rightly so, right? But nevertheless, that's seen as a hateful stance nowadays. Her stance has repeatedly put her at odds with activists and on the receiving end of both boycotts and even death threats over the years. More than half a dozen stars of the Harry Potter movie, stemming from her wildly popular book series, have publicly condemned Rowling's stance and issued statements expressing their support for the trans community, of course. You know, ungrateful little bastards, right? Despite her opinion, rankling many on the left, the celebrated writer is actually in the line with the majority of Americans when it comes to taking medical steps for trans-identifying youth, polls show. A Washington Post KFF Trans in America survey found that 68% of US adults are against providing puberty blockers to trans-identified youth ages 10 to 14, and 58% oppose hormone treatments to those 15 to 17. Well, yeah, there's only a small little minority group, right? A small little percentage, I guess you could say, of individuals that actually agree that it's okay to put a child on puberty blockers and hormones and do this irreversible damage, because they're the butchers, they're the mad people, and they deserve to be in prison. So J.K. Rowling says, the number of men who tell me I'm unqualified to have an opinion on whether there might be downsides to cutting healthy breasts off teenage girls with mental health issues, yet are 100% certain they're qualified to tell women what a woman is, continues to astound. She is just hitting the nail on the head every single time, my friends. It's perfect, isn't it? I love when J.K. Rowling speaks and the media has like a major storm and gets upset over it, because she's just telling the truth. And someone with a big platform like J.K. Rowling should be admired, should be encouraged to continue speaking out. And again, it's one of the reasons why I'm speaking out continuously. Like, it's, to me, I don't care if I'm labeled whatever they want to label me. It doesn't faze me at all. But this madness needs to stop. It does. And hopefully it's going to stop next year. Anyway, my friends, you guys take care. Happy New Year's Eve, by the way. Hope that 2025 is amazing for you all. But you guys take care. You be blessed, and I'll see you all in the next video.